And welcome back once again to the PCS Spring Split Playoffs. In this grand finals, we have PSG coming roaring right back to a 2-1 match point right now. If they can close this out, they punch their ticket to MSI and claim themselves another championship notch in that belt. We'll have to see if they can do it. But before we get into it, Clement, we, of course, have to thank our lovely sponsors. They are CTBC Bank and Caliber. Thank you for making the PCS possible. Now, Clement, did you know that CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution?
Yeah, I think I've heard that.
Okay, good. But did you also know that they're not stopping there? They won't stop until they have a championship, baby. They got to win 2 games to do it. Let's see if they can make it happen. Flying Oyster going to try and do them proud. But they have been handled by the superior macro and game sense of PSG talent so far. They're going to have to find answers here.
Yeah, I feel like in Game 2, a lot of the problems did stem from the fact they didn't have a consistently winning lane to go through, and now they're switching up a little bit. I still feel like they are going to go for late game scaling in the mid lane, but they will try to get better side lane matchups. Now, the big question is, what do they do with the Jinx? Because I don't think PSG actually banned the Xayah, so it could allow CFO to, just go into the Xayah versus the Jinx or the Aphelios matchup.
Yeah, I think the AD carry could definitely shift a little bit, but the Xayah is going to get banned by PSG.
Okay.
We might have the handshake again after all. The question I want to ask is, where is the Nautilus going to turn up? Is it banned away? Both of these players have not lost on this champion in the postseason, and it just seems to be such a high priority pick. I feel like you have to get that on the first rotation. CFO on red would traditionally get it, but maybe PSG are going to give them something different here. They do have 1 pick first.
There's nothing else to really ban. I would just ban the Nautilus. Oh, they take
Tahm
away
Kench?
the Tahm
Okay.
Kench. So
Okay, the Tahm Kench first.
That's very interesting. Because if PSG go for Jinx like is expected, Aphelios Aphelios Nautilus is perfectly acceptable for CFO. I don't even think they're going to hesitate to go for those 2 bans if they are allowed that. And CFO can't ban the Jinx right now because they would handshake away the only hyper carry. So they go with the Gnar, which I like it. It's a very strong ban here. And PSG, you have to go for Jinx right. Oh, they go for Dot.
They do it! They do the first pick Nautilus! I was wondering if this was going to happen because it's such a good takeaway from Koala. He goes down the tier list and he finds Leona. He didn't look as good on it.
I don't know what to say. Like, in theory, this honestly doesn't make all that much sense to me. But it's happening. It's happening for sure. And, you know, with Xayah banned out, I feel like CFO, you guys kind of have to go for the, just go for the Jinx right here. You know, take the Jinx Aphelios matchup once more, and gives you that late game scaling potential. And you try to force the plays in the top side. Huh?
Ooh, will they opt into the Aphelios themselves? I don't know about this one. It does have the consistency, but okay. They're going to give Unified the Jinx himself, and this is a preferred lane. PSG getting a lot of what they wanted here.
Yeah, so CFO are the ones setting up for the kill lane, but PSG do get the better side of the scaling matchup. PSG are wondering if this is a trap of some sort, but I don't think it is. You guys can just lock it in, feel very comfortable with your strong picks here. They do have another champion pick to go with in the 3rd pick just to snag that Jinx up, but I don't think they're going to drop it any later into the 2nd round, so there we go. Very strong team fight setup already.
All right, for CFO, we've seen the mid lane matchup. Leo has been one of Mission's preferred champions in these situations. He can get a lot of plays across the map. It's a little hard to dodge him out as well on that hero's entrance. So I think this one works for them. Last time around, you know, we saw him get to play Zoe when that was unlocked. It didn't look quite as good. His Victor was good, but it didn't quite get online when they wanted it to, as they just got beat by PSG on the map. This Galio allows them to make moves faster.
Yeah, and it is more of a tempo champion as well. We have seen Mission just go for the Predator in all of his previous games, so he's not really that tanky in the front line. He really relies on moving across the map. And I think for PSG, you know, they have to consider a lot of these top laners that can have gap closers. I feel like the Camille has to go in this one. And depending on what they want to pick for the top lane, probably think about the Jace here as well. That has been one of the blindside picks that they've been very worried about throughout the draft, and indeed we do get the Camille ban.
Yep, CFO also targeting out Hanabi again, the Ornn in addition to the Gnar off the board. I wonder if they go for the GP as well, or if they just keep it to some of those more engaged tank champions. I mean, side push has been a big thing.
Would be an issue.
Yeah.
I think if you take away GP, then, you know, you definitely knock Hanabi down a notch. His big three are Gnar, Ornn, and GP.
There it
You
is.
take that away, yep, very good call right there. And I think the next in line would be something like the Gragas. So much more manageable, easier to counter out in lane. You can get a side lane advantage with a whole different stew of champions right here. Well, PSG, they typically do ban Jace here, but oh, they're going to go for Lee Sin, which does give Jarvan over to Gemini if he wants it.
Yeah, that is also a good takeaway from Juhan as well, as he was able to make a lot work with it. And, you know, without a lot of easy escapes on something like the Jinx or even the Orianna, that's something here. Did they really go for the blind Aatrox? No, okay. I didn't think they were going to be that crazy. But Gemini might be opting for a reset champion, trying to add some damage in instead of the Jarvan. And he will lock the Viego.
All right, Viego was one of the win conditions I had for CFO. I feel like if, much like their matchup against, much like J-Team's matchup against PSG, if they can get a carry in their jungle, it's a huge boon, because Juhan is almost pure utility for the most part. And it will pick up on the lack of damage coming in from a mission as well. However, this composition really lacks something that can allow mission to engage on. That's the big problem I see in this composition. It doesn't have the best of engages, really. If you want to lock in the cannonball, it's usually Jarvan, it's usually Camille. Both are off the table. Top lane has to be something with a gap closer.
Yeah, it does. And I'm looking down the line, I'm mostly seeing things that, like, you know, the gap close is like Graves Dash or something, but that's not really what you want. The Gragas could work as well, but Hanabi may end up taking it away. He will actually opt into the Renekton pick. So ball is in CFO's court to see what that final pickup is going to be. Will it be in for 4-1 after all? I don't know.
I feel like the Jace makes the team fight extremely weak here. CFO, they pretty much are fully committed to a non-team fight, full skirmish team composition. This is solo tank, and I think Graves is a lot safer, to be honest. I think Graves, you know, even though I'm not a huge fan of the champion itself, Jace just gets obliterated by the Orianna Jarvan combo. I don't think you can put two champions into that category. Graves himself does have a bit easier time getting away from these engages. He does have the smoke screen, and you do have at least some semblance of a front line with the Galio and the Leona to play double 80 carry through. So I like this a little bit more, but I think you know, PSG, I still favor their comp a little bit more. It's a composition that is very solid. It has the late game scaling potential, and it's definitely favored in team fights. So I feel like PSG might be closing this one out.
They may be, if it can get into that safe stage of the game for them. PSG have managed to stiff arm CFO 2 games in a row. We'll see if they can make it a third one here. On the composition, though, I do want to point out that Rest, you know, when he had that big victory, the Graves, even though it got set far behind, was able to come back right into it, even though we were doubting it. It seems so long ago in the series now, Clem, and I wonder if they're just trusting to the guns.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see what happens here. Graves has been his most played throughout the entire split. It could just be a comfort issue. And the other thing we have to look for is, how are you actually going to snowball this Viego? I actually think it's a little bit difficult here. They could get a couple finds onto the Orianna early on. Orianna, obviously you don't have any gap closer, so if the Galio flashes on you, it's pretty much a flash. So I think that might be the angle of attack here. Just try to get a couple of flashes off of Bay early game, and then shift that towards the bottom lane. It's still a little bit harder against Renekton than the top side. I don't expect them to focus that too much. It's mainly just a pushing lane for Graves to play with. But I think mid is the point of attack and where the skirmishes have to start for CFO in order for this comp to work at all.
And typically, Bay has been one of the more gankable lanes, right? Like on PSG, he's definitely been one of the weaker sides. You would think Mission, the skill difference, the experience difference is pretty vast between those two mid laners, and Mission has been able to play through that against other mids in the past. I really want to see Gemini making return plays, because we've seen flashes burned in a couple of these series, but then the follow-up just doesn't come through. He gets tracked throughout the jungle. Now he has the opportunity to get kills and resets for himself. If Mission can be the one to get the follow-up, the taunt off, that's something that Bay is absolutely going to have to respect. Orianna's a champion that you can play safe with, but we have seen Bay misplay before, so it is going to be on the young mid laner for PSG to not give CFO advantages early in this game.
Yeah, and I also want to add, I feel like the limitations on this comp from CFO are very stringent. I don't see them winning with this composition post. I'd say like post 32 minutes. That's probably it. Like 3 items
Giving themselves
completed.
a timer.
I think PSG is just going to manhandle them. A huge problem for this comp is they don't have good engaged potential whatsoever. Their only source of like gap close is actually just from Leona. And that's too easy to spot out. As long as PSG have their eyes on Leona, there's not much you can do and not much you can force in from Galio. So what that means is if you ever let PSG just take over the objective spots, then you can't force your way in, and they're just going to take that one and snowball, as we have seen in the past 2 games. So, I feel like this is the way CFO won the first game was super dynamic. They were throwing 3 different things in the air, and PSG were just like, what's happening? What's happening? And they just couldn't catch all of the balls as they were about to drop. And that's how CFO have to win. But in this one, the case is really different. There's only one ball to look at, and that's the Leona ball. So, yeah, I feel like it's pretty hard, but...
Yeah, they've not given themselves an easy time. I know we've been talking a little bit in the outset that the coaching staff and the pick bands definitely seems to be a little bit more thoroughly thought through on the side of PSG. I think that's something we can expect from this organization. They do tend to do their homework. I would argue like pretty much nobody but maybe like Deep Cross Gaming puts more very specific effort into their drafts, but for better or worse, PSG definitely have the support behind them. Their drafts have been good. Even in game 1 when they lost, I know we talked about how this was kind of a really good draft for them, but as you said, it was just CFO throwing a lot of different things at them and the kitchen sink, and they just couldn't quite keep up with it all. For CFO, their back's against the wall here. This is the moment when you find out if a team is championship material or not, right? They have to overcome in a deficit. Even though they started with a game 1 victory, a very, very big confidence booster, they've been stymied since then. PSG have not given them opportunities on the map. Shun has been neutralized. He's now on the Aphelios, a champion that we haven't seen as much of him on as the likes of the Jinx, and Unified is trying to shut the young gun down and prove, no, he is still the best AD carry in the league, and right now he absolutely looks like it. He has also got a great team around him. I think Bei and Juhan have been doing what they needed to, even if they're not individually as skilled. The communication has been improving, it seems. We talked at the beginning of the day how it can be tough when you have 2 Korean players, even though they've been on a pretty stringent schedule of learning Mandarin. It's not going to happen overnight or even over the course of the split. They have managed to look a lot cleaner in the last couple of games, and we'll see if they can continue to do it, because that would mean PSG would be cruising to a 3rd straight title in the PCS, their 4th total. You got to remember, all the way back to the start of the PCS as a series, before it took over from the LMS, a lot of these players were involved in that one. It was PSG, or it was rather Talon Esports versus Machi, and that was Gemini, Koala, Mission, and they got denied MSI from Hanabi, Unified, and Kaiwing. You'd have to think they want some revenge. They got to be thinking about it.
You go even further back, and they were denied by PSG, even though it wasn't Bei and Juhan or Maple and River. Or Maple. They were denied by PSG from going to MSI as well. So there's a lot of impetus for CFO to prove that they can actually win out on some of these drafts. Taking across a look at the startups right here, we do have a very safe lane from Unified. As to be expected, PSG are on the scaling game once more. And we do have another first strike coming out from Juhan. I think it worked pretty well the last time around, not going to change. And of course, for Mission, we do have to point out this is once again going to be Predator, so much more focused on early game, chasing down Bei. And as we have seen, he does like to start with boots to open up, puts a lot more gank pressure right at the get-go.
We'll have to keep an eye on Gemini. The level 3 Viego gank is very possible here. Koala, he doesn't want to take the level 1 up against Unified and Kaiwing. I think this lane may be a little quieter. And the last series, it got really explosive, though. There was a lot of pop-off, and it was Shun and Koala that got the better of it. But PSG have clearly downloaded the strategy they need. Really like that first pick, Nautilus, just because it's such a takeaway. Koala looks very different on not Nautilus.
Exactly here. And if you look at this bot lane, it's a really nice defensive setup here because you do have Kaiwing with the Aftershock. He should be a little bit tankier than Leona in most instances. Of course, the Eclipse is still there for Leona. And you really read CFO as more combat focused, more about helping Gemini secure these kills against their opponents here.
But Gemini has a lot of pressure on him right now, right? Like the reset champion, he really wants to be able to stack them. He's going to be spotted on vision early on, so information, PSG, they're feeling pretty confident about this.
Yeah, really nicely done by PSG in this one. This has been a consistent factor of their play. They get the shove in, they're definitely going to find out Gemini. And I think that's been the sort of biggest takeaway. You know, if you think about CFO, they actually have a pretty good time at getting Gemini into early action. Hasn't been the case this series at all. They've always been tracking him. And on the flip side, it hasn't really been true for CFO versus PSG. And that first rotation on jungle is actually extremely important. It really decides on whether you can play the lane with a shove in mind or you have to stay back and prevent some of these gankings from happening. Especially for the top side, you know, because Rest always likes to play shove all the way.
Yeah. I mean, CFO are playing, they play a lot more hard-headed, right? Like, they are mechanically incredibly skilled players, but they are a little closer to 5 individuals rather than, you know, a fully well-oiled machine. I mean, they haven't really adapted to this vision control. They haven't really blocked it out. They've gone for, like, maybe cheeky, like, brush plays every once in a while, but that's a little more telegraphed. And Gemini does have level 3 now. Let's see if he can get something happening in the mid. No, they ping it out. You can see the communication on the mini-map as Bay just immediately backs off and respects what Gemini can do here.
This is just so well choreographed from PSG's bottom side. They push the lane, cheat a recall, go back with the call. They know they're for the scaling game. It's just beautiful to watch them execute all of this. And even with the match here, the problem is CFO actually got their wave frozen. So that's going to be a CS lead over to the side of Unified after this wave. Really nicely done. They get the advantage in lane. They avoid any chances for Gemini to gank them, and it's so hard to gank Hanabi. Like, you have no hard crowd control on the Graves, and you know, Renekton is probably the champion with the most potential to 1v2 jungler if he does come up there.
Yeah, so everything's kind of working out well for them in this early game. PSG just wanting to control the pace as they've been able to do in their wins, and keeping an eye once more on Gemini is easy peasy as you like. I don't think they spotted him there, but they had to know timing-wise that he was going to be on the Raptor camp. And also a gank in mid is going to be even harder right now because Bay is kind of pushed in at the moment. So that's just going to be the recall out of the CFO jungler, and another quiet early game commences.
Yeah, and I just have to say, like, this is... I feel like PSG is... in order to appreciate them, you have to kind of live in the grand context of things rather than in the moment. Because I feel like they're not particularly explosive, but they're just so damn solid. Look at this again. PSG still holding onto the wave, acquiring a good, sizable lead, as we've mentioned, and forcing the hand of CFO. CFO pretty much have to respond with this Drake. It's completely spotted out by PSG. PSG are just saying, okay, we're just going to, you know, farm this one out. We don't care about the Drake that much. We're going to pick up on CS, and we're going to be happy about it.
Yeah, it's such a fundamental difference in how these two squads approach the game, like the philosophy. PSG, I mean, one of the reasons they have been so successful is because they're just able to do this over and over again, especially against the weaker teams in the league. I think it was a big surprise that CFO beat them in one of the 2 losses they had, the first one since opening day, or opening week, rather, against Megabank Beyond Gaming. But they haven't really shown as much weakness. I mean, that last series started to look more and more like an aberration than anything else.
Yeah, I'll be honest, when we casted that series, I was saying Game 4 and Game 5 were a complete fluke. Like, there was no way that Koala just somehow gets 2 Dreadlines back to back.
It was like an 8,000 IQ play, though, with the Baron Bamboozle. I mean, there was pop-up potential, the ceiling is high, but as you can see, PSG are just so much more consistent. Now, here comes the Viego. Gemini on level 5 does not have Heartbreaker, spotted on the ward, so he can't really get much done.
Yep, very easy here to just cast this one out.
Sad Viego. He's got to go back to Hot Topic now. Get some new belts.
And I feel like this is a problem with some of the red side drafts, is that CFO don't actually have a matchup where they can force kills onto top lane. PSG just play this so well. They pick the Renekton here, and you know, you don't have a... There's not really a 2v2 that you can hard force if it's Renekton against a ranged champion, and any counter gank is going to be so threatening because of it. So they're just able to kind of scale on here. I think CFO do have to play with the Drake stack. That's going to be the most important thing. If they can put pressure on PSG to come in before the 3rd carry item, that's going to be absolutely crucial. So CFO, this is your time to showcase your knowledge of how to control these objectives. You know, we're still 3 minutes off, but that has always been the make or break point. Every single game that we had this series, PSG has been able to sneak away at least 1 Drake pretty early on.
Okay, the mission roam is happening here. We'll take a look at the top side. 1v1, Hanabi goes in onto rest, and this little trade with the shotgun. Got to be a little careful not to tank too much more damage. Mission can't quite complete it. I thought he was going for a deeper roam here, but he ends up going back to mid lane, and now it's Juhan in the bot for the 2v3. Koala and Shun don't think they know this is happening. Oh, Dredge Line doesn't land.
They have to suspect something at this point, I feel like. Like, if Kaiwing's still holding his position after the Dredge Line, then you know that something is up here. The wave is pushing out. You see Galio roaming down bot here as well. And Juhan knows his priorities. He's just, okay, I'm not going to force this against a potential Galio roam. I'm just going to back out.
Okay, Gemini's up here. This might end up... Oh, he's actually going to go for some counter jungling. Okay, so a little vertical there. That is the ping spotted. Juhan knows that Gemini is at his blue buff. Might just turn to fight him.
Yeah,
2v2, I think.
Interesting fight here. Mission's already here in position.
Oh, smite down. Okay. All right. It's about sending a message, really. Does he need the blue buff? No. Does he want Faye to have it? Also no. Oh, hook out of downtown! Forces out the flash and Moonlight Vigil. Oh, Shun was in a 1v2.
Yeah, Koala actually made a roam to top lane to try and see if they could get the Herald. And CFO are getting caught out on this top as well. But there is no Orianna here, so this play is very interesting because they have the 3v2 momentarily. They're going to go in.
They got to go for it here. Mission on the chase down should... No, he can't quite get that play on the taunt as Hanabi runs out. Mission was not interested in investing his flash to secure that one. So, 9 minutes in, still no first bloods on this, and they don't even clear the Rift Herald. It's CFO trying to make plays, but they're not the ones finding anything.
And that's the problem I had with the Galio. They actually just have no lockdown on the top side. So, you know, it's really easy for PSG to just walk away from these engages. It's like, there's no Leona, so, we don't have to worry about it. You just walk away, and you're good.
Honestly, I think game 1 of that series, Mission flashes that. It does seem like they have slowed down a little bit, and I wonder if they're starting to feel a little defeated. Gemini does come in here. That's going to be the secure. He actually steps up 1v2, but he knows he's got friends coming to the party. In goes the Galio. Shockwave lands as Gemini goes into stasis, flashes away. The rest of the party is coming here as they will try to get first blood. They do. It goes to rest, but the turn comes right on back as Gemini's down a 1-for-1 on the fight.
Yeah, I do want to see where the kills end up. If Gemini did snag that one, maybe you could make a case that it's fine for CFO, but grand scheme of things, definitely PSG favored just a little bit. They do snag the Herald at the very end, and no, it's actually Graves that gets the kill, which is also, I think, fine. The worst case scenario was definitely Mission picking that one up, so I feel like this is it's pretty decent for both sides, and you do see a lot of summoners being burned here, so it does mean that CFO, I think, will have a slight edge coming in to the next Drake fight.
But they're going to need a lot going forward, right? Like, that's the important thing, is they need to really make something off the back of it. They need to utilize those down summoners to actually get some more for themselves, because they do have a timing window. You talked about it, 32 minutes. It's kind of the point when their game sort of closes out for themselves. They need to start setting up kills. It's Juhan actually making the roam down towards the bottom side. They'd be looking for a Herald play as this Dragon number 2 is started up by CFO. This is the Mountain, and this one should be uncontested. You see the back coming in for Kaiwing.
Yeah, the timing here is really good because you just saw the Orianna Jarvan combo go down. You know there's no threat from that one, and PSG are not even going to try and contest this.
You have to check with the Rocket. It makes sense. We have another Hextech Rift, by the way, so a little more spicy here if this is the final game.
Absolutely massive for Graves. This is probably the best Dragon Soul you want to see if you're already up 2 Drakes and you are trying to play a split pushing game. So CFO, have a lot of incentive to contest this one, and the threat level is also high for PSG. Like, if it was a Cloud Drake, then PSG could kind of just sit on the laurels and not really care about the Drake stack. But a Hextech, I feel this is one of those souls that they will have to respond with, and that means they have to go into the team fights. We are taking down the minutes. It's about 20 minutes until 4 Drakes, and that's definitely still a strong point for CFO to close the game.
Oh yeah, that's a way for them to get into this one for sure. Rest not going to let Hanabi back too far forward there. But still, you got to think we needed to see a lot out of Gemini in this early game, but he was completely tracked right now. So window may be closing. Juhan does take the Hextech gate, and he does get spotted on a ward here around the side. They'll know this is happening. Maybe CFO can make the counterplay. Now he knows he's spotted, though.
Yep, Gemini going to show up here as well, just clear the wave. And I feel like Juhan is really struggling to find a place to put this one down here. We have the engage coming.
Kaiwing is going to be spotted here. You do see the zone out from Shun. That's Kaiwing into stasis. I think he's going down. Nicely timed on the Moonlight Vigil, and Shun will be able to clean up a kill off the back of that one. Nice little 1-2-3 punch.
Yeah, really well done here. They kind of pinned Juhan onto the wall right there, so they know they get a momentarily 3v2. And now, yep, PSG are going to respond with this one. It's mission you can't take that.
Mission's zoned away. Yeah. All right, good charge here. They're going to have to try and make it even as Shun is able to get some solo plates while Unified is coming back from base. Won't be able to clean another one up here. Asking for help over on the opposite side. That was Gemini, I think, he's just taking the rift, taking the gate, I should say, back to the safety of his own jungle.
Solid win here for CFO, getting that one down. Also getting the Aphelios with a kill right here, so a lot of good stuff happening for them. I'm looking across the lanes here, and I feel like the top lane here is something we have to mention because Hanabi so far in this Renekton pick has been rather ineffective. He's not been able to do anything, not be able to throw any ganks in the top lane. That's usually how you want to play it against the Graves, is just use that hard crowd control to find something. We'll watch this again from PSG's perspective. Kaiwing definitely out of position here. He knows that Viego actually has the has Juhan pincer. Juhan cannot come through the river. I feel like this is kind of a calm issue coming in from PSG. A lot of times, Kaiwing might have too much on his plate. And in the top lane, Hanabi's going to get caught out and killed.
Yeah, he wants to try and make Rest pay for it, but Rest is right on top of him. They'll let the kill get secured by the Graves. So the roams from Mission starting to hurt a little bit here as they at least can turn things on the top and on the bottom. Will they be able to get more out of it? That's the question, as the gold lead extends to about 1,000 and some change. Not a massive win here, but plates fallen. Shun is going to look to pick up first brick. I think he gets it in time. Yeah, PSG can't really answer it here, as they were instead kind of just waiting in the brush, maybe setting up for a play. Doesn't happen.
I'm not really sure what Bay is doing on the bottom side. I feel like he could have done a lot of damage in the mid lane here, but I guess he wanted to look for cross-map play and doesn't really end up defending here either. So a bit of an odd roam on the bottom side, and I feel like it's time we could say that, okay, decidedly, Graves does have the lead right here. The bot lane is getting pushed in. It's going to be hard for Orianna to find farm in this laning allocation. You can't go up against Graves right now. So the next couple of minutes is going to be heavily CFO dominated, and I think this is what they were kind of missing in game one, is just kind of a solid matchup that they could win through, and this time it has showed itself in the top side.
Yeah, I think we've seen a couple of Renekton games this series that just haven't really looked all that great because the value just hasn't been there. And Hanabi's going to get dove again if he's not careful. Koala and Gemini are here. He's going to try to run back to the safety of his own jungle. Yeah, he's got the slice dice over. That's fine. Should be losing out on some pressure in the top side, though, as the Aphelios has taken up there. Gale Force on. Should be able to get even more damage on these turrets. Unified in the mid with the help of Juhan. And this just straight up tanks that zap. I think this is a mid turret as well. Unified can finish the job. Flame Chomper's on, but they want to turn the fight potentially? Okay, a little bit of a misplay on the shield of Durant, a pair of teleports as well. This could be trouble. Rest is forced to go away from that one. Koala into stasis. It's a bit scuffed here, but maybe they can turn it around on the hero's entrance.
Mission goes in.
And that's a lot of damage. Hanabi, though, slicing and dicing Gemini, taking out Unified. That's huge to open this fight right now. And the taunts are flashed away from CFO. They get themselves a quick 2, and wouldn't you know it, there's a Hextech Dragon on the Rift.
Yeah, beautiful play here from CFO. I felt like it was a little bit scuffed on the engage from CFO as they close in. PSG still get to take the first tower, but on the other end, Mission is able to save his own support right there and turn the fight around. I feel like all the eyes were on chasing down the enemy, and unfortunately here, not enough attention on the side of Gemini as he's able to sneak back in after taking the death charge. Let's see where Juhan actually uses his ultimate. He goes on to Rest, but Rest doesn't die. And look at this, Koala actually stops Juhan from coming in. They have to reposition the Orianna EQ combo, not there. And that is the engage back from Gemini onto the backline. So yeah, I just think, unfortunately for PSG, they over-chase and leave their backline vulnerable.
Yeah, CFO find an opening, they take it. Also, credit to Mission, he actually intercepts Unified Super Mega Death Rocket at, like, the final second. I don't know if it was going to be big enough to kill anybody, but it was extremely close. And that is going to also be the Rift Herald take here, CFO. They've decided to just group as 4. Rest is on the outside, so in case he's needed, he is available. Dragon Stack still in play. A decent timing window to work with, and now a gold lead that's starting to blow up.
Exactly. This is looking really scary for PSG. PSG have to think about how they want to engage this one. It really is about picking the correct target right here. And, oh.
Okay, Hanabi into the taunt right now. They won't be able to follow through the damage mission. He can walk away from this, but it's all just a ploy to buy time for Shelly to finish the job. They get that outer turret. Not much more for it, but still, adding gold into the coffers is huge. Rest is going to start pushing down bottom side, and this is where Rest can start to take over, right? Because you don't really have anybody who can contest him 1v1.
Yeah, he has so much sustain. He's going to beat out the mage by default right here. And you can see that PSG are trying to send 5 members all along. Here comes Grab.
They got the root. Shockwave, it doesn't matter. Shun gets himself kill number 3 of the game, and Operation Feed the Bot Laner is in full effect, but it might be turnabout here as they do manage to get a great root, great catch, everything burned, and Rest, I don't believe it. How about that blowback? He gets away.
He gets the Immortal Shield Bow proc. It looked like he was about to go down, but, you know, on the flip side, it's just a free flash burn, so I don't see PSG as being too concerned about this one. But the next fight is absolutely critical. I think in this fight, they actually need to blow up the Viego. It sounds near impossible, but I don't see a scenario if Viego isn't the first target and PSG are able to take him down with the combo piece, that they win. If they don't get the Jarvan Shockwave combo onto Gemini, I just think there's too much potential for CFO to just clean up afterwards. So, you know, this is getting real tough. They have to walk into the Hextech Drake. We have seen them do it before, but not without the vision advantage this time.
Oh boy. CFO are determined to make this one a big old series. You talked about sustain, Clement. Well, how about a Bloodthirster on the Graves? Rest is going all in on it right now, and I can't believe he lived through that. Yeah, I mean, PSG aren't going to be as worried. They get the flash out of it. That feels pretty good, but man, like, he was just riding the shotgun blowback over and over again. The ultimate, the flash, the proc, everything. And they get to reset. He's back down on the bottom lane. Got to be a little careful, though, as there's not a lot of vision there on that side. They're going to try to keep it clean. Baron's about to spawn as the 20-minute mark will tick over, and Unified picks himself up a rapid fire cannon. That's his second item, I believe.
Ooh,
teleport in. They're going to chase Hanabi. Smoke screen on. And Hanabi can't really sidestep it. There's the Zenith Blade. He's on the Dominus, but I don't think it matters. The taunt's through. They invest pretty heavily, but Gemini will get the kill, and PSG are in no position to respond.
Yeah, they have way too much vision advantage in the bot side of the map there. Hanabi unfortunately overstays his welcome, and CFO are able to extend that vision lead up all the way until the next Drake is what I believe the next play is. And this mid lane is looking a little bit scary, but I feel like PSG are setting up a correct trap. Jarvan could just pop out if they're on... no, never mind, they see it.
200 reveals. And
Bay,
Jig is up.
Bay,
Moonlight
Bay.
Vigil. Oh!
Bye, Bay!
Woo! Shun is dead.
Straight up 1v2! That was disgusting! Oh! That was some nasty vintage Aphelios.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Yeah, this champion. 400 years. 4-0. Okay. Okay, cheeky interrupt. That's fine. Yeah. It's okay. It's cool. Let's see that again.
That was so nice. You gotta watch it twice. He uses the turret, gets 2 auto attacks off, and then finishes with the Moonlight Vigil. He gets the other Caliburn proc on the side, and then just kills him with the Executioner. Oh, that was some real nasty gameplay.
Yeah, you know, if you were listening to us in like games 2 and 3, and I was talking about Shun being like a real hotshot rookie AD carry, this is why. You had to wait more games to see it, but this is why.
Oof. This is when you tell when rookies really show up. The thing about Dago and how you knew he was going to overtake everything was in those game fights, in those situations, he was always going, me. This is what I'm going to do. Look at me. And he took control. He put the reins in his own hands. That's what I love about these really aggressive rookies and what I think you want out of your future stars here. And, you know, Shun just showing up huge. That definitely didn't feel like a rookie play to just throw down that play there. And I like this from CFO. You know, they're unconcerned about the Baron play top lane whatsoever. PSG might have a lot of vision there, but they don't have the damage, and CFO know that. So easy 22-minute soul.
Yeah, I mean, huge right now for CFO on the Hex Tech. They're going to be able to chase down if they want to. Now they can just keep on pushing on the side. I mean, the only danger right now is if Rest just kind of gets himself caught up, but his team is close enough to deal with it. They can just kind of rotate on this one. I think they might face and... No, they're going to set up a trap. It's all a trap.
Well, but
Gemini, watch him on the side.
Galio's on the other side. He's just happy to split push this one away. In the meantime, massive item advantage here, and Gemini trying to pick off some scraps here. Not going to happen. Unified taking a lot of damage.
Drop it. That is going to be the Galio dropping in. They've already taken down Unified, and I think this fight is already over here. Gemini on the front line as the Jinx, able to get a little bit more work done. A little squishy. He's going to have to back away, so they take Unified down and the outer turret, or inner turret too. Time to base and reset for round 2.
Oh boy, Shun is just looking so disgusting. I think that was collateral damage from Rest to start things off, and then they just finish him off with the Heartbreaker Strike coming in from Gemini. Just beautiful combo coming in into the back line there. They really do just trick out. I think Bay was the one that had to defend mid lane, so they're able to get a split-second 5v4 and capitalize on it with the semi-global. Now Rest is gonna say hi to Juhan. Oh, that's his EQ.
Yep, he knows he doesn't have a lot of escapes right now. Actually doesn't opt for the chase down. He might have been a little worried that Kaiwing could arrive in time to help, but... Oh, man. CFO looking very scary here, Clement. We talked about the timing window that PSG can win this game at. It is quite a ways away, and Baron is being started.
Yeah, this one is going to be a hard contest here. Let's see. They have double blue trinkets, so I'm 100% confident PSG will find it.
Okay, they're gonna full commit to this one. I mean, this might be the straight up fight. Keep your eyes on the Galio. They turn into the choke point, and that's gonna be up the massive dawn. The shield of Duran. Goodbye, Unified. Goodbye, PSG. As Kaiwing runs for the hills, the double kill comes through, and they don't even care about the Renekton. I think this is lights out.
Oh boy, 25 seconds on the timer, but 34 for Bay, and there's only one member left. Hanabi has to go back to base. Let's see if the Hero Croc can mount a defense right here, but it's going to be very difficult. CFO, this one's risky. This is how kind of J-Team lost the previous one.
It is, but this is how CFO managed to find the edges. They do not have the time to come back in. Just ignore the Crocodile. Never mind. They try to take him, but he gets back to Fountain, and we have a 5-game series.
What a dominating game from CFO, and you can see how this, I feel like for PSG, there's so much pressure in the way they actually win the games because of the format. The way they win are 40-minute grind fests, but they have to play back-to-back. This is their 3rd match coming into this week. They are under so much stress to make all of this happen here, and they now have to play 10 games back-to-back, and sitting through those 40-minute sessions is not an easy task. So, you know, I think like all win scenarios are valid, but if you're playing from the lower bracket in this format, it does get very difficult for you the later the series goes.
Yeah, exhaustion is a very real thing here, and PSG have been put to the test. I mean, you got to think back to last split when it was Megabank Beyond Gaming that was challenging them. They had back-to-back 5-game series. Not the case necessarily here, but they did have to play 5 yesterday against J-Team after being knocked down to the lower bracket by this very Flying Oyster squad, but it has been so close. And for CTBC, what a lifeline this game was. Rest being able to get a winning matchup up against Hanabi. The Renekton continues to be a trap, it seems. And honestly, once Shin started popping off, the setup was great there. I think Mission on this Galio is able to do things that are just honestly shouldn't be allowed in League of Legends. He saved a couple of fights early on, let them snowball. The Soul was so early in the game that PSG just didn't have a chance to come back into it. And wouldn't you know it, Clement, we are going to Game 5.
Oh, this is so much fun to watch these two teams duke it out. I was a little bit worried that, you know, CFO were going to run out of steam. I didn't like their draft all that much, but the big difference here is that they were able to catch out on a couple of mistakes here and there from PSG in the start. Especially, I think the Kaiwing mistake early on was actually pretty costly there. They did get the kill for free. They were able to leave their lane. It allowed Mission to actually get an early Everfrost, and he just straight up he just left lane. He's like, you can take the tower or whatever, I don't care. Goes top, gets a kill right there, and gets Graves snowballing as well. So The biggest thing for me is that I feel like even if CFO want to go for late game strategy, they have to think about how to execute early game kill lanes. That has been, I think, the difference maker for them comparing game 4 to game 3.
Yeah, and for the first time, I think we've seen a Nautilus lose in this series, and it was a much better Leona this time around for the side of Koala. I think he had a lot better Zenith plays. His solar flares were landing either for a good zone or something. They were able to layer up the CC a lot more effectively, and I wonder if it was just getting their bearings a little bit more, moving on to champions down the tier list, and it does seem like that's given a lifeline to CFO here. I think PSG adjusts their draft strategy. They'll, of course, have side selection for the final game. And I'm honestly not sure what side you want to take. PSG have focused on the blue side, but because CFO have preferred red, they've gotten wins on it. I don't know, man. I think all bets are off in this final one. It's win and take the title.
I still feel like PSG most likely go for the blue side. I feel like if they look at this game, they just say, okay, we made a couple of mistakes here and there. We probably ban the Galio. That would be my biggest adjustment overall. I think they can afford a ban on the blue side for that one. I'm just trying to think of what the 3 bans were this time around. It was Syndra, not Nautilus, Syndra,
Xayah, and then what was
I forgot what the third one was.
I just remember that the Gnar was banned red side.
Yeah,
they didn't have a
banned
third
red
ban.
Side. I feel like they can spare a Galio ban. Zoe is no longer a threat, and I think
for Heron, it was the Kench.
Oh, it was the Tom Catch. Yeah, they can.
Yeah, I like that too because they did do the takeaway. It seemed like the focus was on Koala, but you can't remove everything, right? There's so much priority for this bot lane pick. Of course, you're going to get the handshake of the Jinx Aphelios, but Leona is going to be able to be just as good. And yeah, this was all capitalization on mistakes, but also rest in his element. I feel like this series has definitely sat on how well Rest can make hero plays, on whether he can snowball lanes. This Graves pick is kind of a pocket, but it was Mission that enabled it all, and for that, he earns the MVP. I think your read is correct, 100%. I think we need to see this Galio banned in Game 5.
Yeah, I think Galio is able to leave lane way too easy, and against Bay, I think Mission is perfectly comfortable with giving over some plates just to get his side lanes rolling. So if you think about this game, the bot lane was actually ahead for the most part. They got the cheater recall off, always the really cheesy plays there. And what went wrong was, Kaiwing oversteps, they give over a kill there, and then you see the pressure just starting to mount because Mission can always fly into the bottom side. He has that Everfrost there, and even though they're winning the bot lane, they just bleed out because of this Galio pick. So I'm still pretty confident in blue side for PSG, but Syndra Galio bans, and I think probably they'll keep Xayah there as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised here. I wonder if CFO have any surprises on their side. Maybe they do something crazy, like leave the Zeri up and try to go for a bit of a crazy counterplay. We haven't even seen Shun get a chance on that champion, but it seems unlikely. I'm trying to stretch a little bit here, but Clement, we have got ourselves one heck of a final series. It looks like CFO were going to run out of steam, but they have found an answer, and we are going to scrape some silver. We'll be right back.